I'd like to thank the folks from Jinko Fishing for not only bringing you Low Budget Live, but bringing all you low-lifers great deals on some great fishing tackle. They're having their buy one, get one off sale right now. Some crazy deals at jinkofishing.com. Get you some of those CD2 square bills. Get you a high roller rod or two. Thank me later. But on the entire site, you can use code LBL25. That is 25% off just for being a lowlifer, just for making your ears listen to this show at jinkofishing.com. Express Boats, hang the daggum banner. They got him another top 5 in the Bassmaster Classic, a third place Lee Livesey. Congrats to Lee on a great event out there in that XR21, that new ride he's riding around in and catching some bass in for sure so far to start this 2025 season. But Express has a boat that will fit your needs, whether that's a bay boat, they got their skiffs, they got duck boats, they got the new H20, they got the X19, the X21 like I run, and everything in between. A boat for every budget, every need. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. Damn these Biloxi blues. It happens every night. And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine. Nope. The summer heat never treats me kind. It leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time. This highway does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Headed my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there. Low Budget Live, the not so live variety from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern Middle Tennessee, and it's being presented by Jinko Fishing, and we appreciate those folks for being a part of the party these days. And I appreciate all you low-lifers for tuning in. This is the podcast for Monday, March the 31st, the last one for the month. And we're going to click that old calendar over to April. My favorite month, man. We got turkey season. We got bass on the bed. Oh, no. Don't fish for bedding fish. Oh, no. Don't use live scope. Don't use hooks. Sorry. I've been on Facebook too much and TikToks and Instagrams. Fishing world is, you can't do anything. We got Wired to Fish writing articles about shouldn't fish for bedding fish, which during the spawn, I don't know when we're supposed to fish anymore. I don't know how we're supposed to catch them. I don't know how, what techniques we're supposed to use. Maybe maybe I'll just go back to, maybe we ought to all noodle with our hands, Somebody call Randy Blockett. Somebody get Blockett on the damn phone. Call Uncle Randy and ask him what we're supposed to do. There's so much damn negativity, man. And I've been a negative fella at times when it comes to professional bass fishing and the goings-ons with the anglers in mind, mostly with the organizations. Obviously several years ago with MLF, my little beef there and different things. But holy crap, man, it is sickening. It's sickening where we are. And fishing's fun, dude. Fishing's fun. And I love it. I've been getting to fish a good bit in the last couple of weeks, been smashing them on some glide baits and some swimmers, and dude, just having fun. I've caught some on live scope and I've caught some without it. And you know what? It's great. It's been a good time either way. Regardless of what somebody says about what's going on right now, fishing is still fun at its core. We all got into this love, this obsession, if you're actually truly obsessed with the sport, because it was fun. Because you can do it your way. If you want to go throw this LOB jig right here all day long, guess what? You can do that. I've said this many times. You want to go throw a chartreuse and white spinnerbait every down log on the lake all day long, guess what? You can do that. Nobody has to tell you it's right or wrong. You either get bites or you don't. And you get to spend your time, your hard-earned time, when you do get a couple days off, to go fish the way you want to fish. If you want to do that looking at a cheater box, whatever, you can do that. You can do that. As long as it's within the law or the rules of a tournament you're fishing, I'm good with it, man. Bring it. And it just makes me sad, man. It really does. And I'll just be honest with you. It really turns me off from even doing the things I do, this podcast. It's just toxic, man. It's so toxic. And I do blame Randy Blockett for a lot of it. He's got a lot larger audience than I do. And it just sucks to see that people can just foam at the mouth over that negativity and give into it. And I've said it on this show before, and this is not a personal attack on Randy. Good for him. Just because I disagree with him doesn't mean I don't like him. I respect the hustle, but the clickbait stuff. I mean, somebody shared one in my feed this week, like talking crap about him he made a post about there's too much negativity and I'm paraphrasing here, probably misquoting it, but too much negativity on social media. What, Randy? You guitar tuning some bitch, Randy? I hope y'all seen Sling Blade. Or you won't get that reference at all. We ain't got no damn band, Randy. It's just, it's obnoxious at this point. And what you don't realize is I've talked to people from several companies that have been involved with Randy, and Randy moves like a hell of a lot of fishing tackle through his codes and things. Like, people do support him, and you are making him money by supporting the toxicity and the negativity. That is for sure. And I don't know. I did it. And I don't want to just beat a dead horse, but the Eastern Fothergill comments after the Classic, and they're still coming. Man, I've got old videos on Facebook that are clips from the show talking about Live Scope with Hank Cherry and Ben Milliken, and they get new comments every single day because they've got a good number of views. Just people going nuts, man. And they regurgitate just things that Randy said. It's Spotlighter and Cheater Box. I don't care to have a debate with you or have a conversation, but don't regurgitate just what that guy has said. And that's what 90% of it is, man. When you see it, he'll do a video on how it's the death of fishing, it's this, and then just immediately people regurgitate it. And I think, like, have an original thought in your head. Just one. And I know it goes that way, whether it's politics or sports or whatever. There are a lot of people that are followers, and there are people that are leaders in life. And there's a lot more followers than leaders out there. And it does just make me sad to see that negativity just regurgitated. And now, like, I enjoy a good TikTok from time to time. You know, it's mindless. You swipe, you sit there, and probably spend too much time looking at it, to be honest. And he's like, there are just these Randy disciples that just regurgitate what he says now in 1 minute clips on TikTok that now have a following. And it's bizarre. I've seen so many of them from the Classic. I'm like, who the is this guy? Who the is this guy? Every time one pops up, I've seen him bitching about the Classic and bitching about Easton Fothergill and bitching about Live Scope. And it's wild. It's wild. And I am like, who the are you? A little bit, because I've been in this industry since I was a kid. And when I see people make a video about the Bassmaster Classic was the worst visited classic of all time, and I'm like, buddy, have you ever been? I've been to like 20 in a row. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's, it's wild. It's wild. And negativity obviously sells. Again, like I said, Randy's got the biggest audience in fishing right now, it would seem. And I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And again, that's no shot at Randy. My only shot at Randy is this is a shot, and I've said it before, is if he put his money where his mouth is, he's all about the sanctity of tournament fishing. Why ain't you in the MPFL, dog? They did what you wanted. They did what you wanted. Until we get the cheater box banned. So bizarre. So bizarre. But I say all that to say this, okay? I'm going to give you a prime example of why fishing is still great. Why fishing is still fun. We had two gentlemen at the Alabama Bass Trail South on Logan Martin yesterday. I'm recording this on a Sunday. Blake Tomlin, Justin Foster. They won our last event of the 2024 season at Eufaula, an event that was going to be brush piles and live scope and just a ledge fishing beatdown. And a lot of fish did get caught that way. They won it out of an aluminum boat, small aluminum boat, fishing this deep in June. It was 1,000,000 degrees that day. They weighed in at 12 o'clock. We opened the scales at 12 because they didn't want their fish to stress. They caught them pretty early. They weighed in at 12. They had to sit through that weigh-in waiting to see if they won, and they did. They pulled it off. Blake Tomlin, Justin Foster. They roll into event 2. I pulled up on them yesterday on the main river. fishing out of a tunnel hole, like a 17-foot-ish aluminum boat. Tunnel hole. Fishing this deep. Logan Martin on the Coosa River right now is like 3 feet low. They win yesterday. They want it their way. They want it their way. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And in those events, and they're one-dayers, we don't see a lot of live scope winning in those. Like, it doesn't dominate. And I know it does at the top level and all that, but it's beautiful to see that positivity and just see the smiles of the teams that, there's so many teams that I've interviewed between the last ABT at Gunnersville, 58 bags over 20, and they're like chatterbait lipless, swimming a jig. The winners took the dub at Gunnersville, 29 pounds, fishing shallow. And I know it's all time of year and blah, blah, blah. Stay out of the comments with that. I get it. I've been doing this a long time. But to see that is such a great thing, because fishing is and should be what you want it to be. And as long as it's within the law and as long as it's within the rules of whatever tournament organization you're fishing, if that's what you choose to do, or maybe you're just fun fishing. Hell, I fun fish way more. I cover tournaments. I work for tournament trails. I don't fish tournaments anymore. I don't have time. I work 15 ABTs and 7 MPFLs, 22 weekends of my 52 possible weekends. I'm covering bass fishing. So tournaments. So I don't get to fish tournaments. Maybe some night tournaments here and there in the summer with my kids every now and then. But I fun fish. I fish on Wednesdays. Get out there on a good old Wednesday, a dang Wednesday, and I throw my glide bait around. That's what I enjoy doing. I throw the LOB jig. I fish the way I want to fish. Sometimes I get out there and shake a minnow because that's what I want to do too. And I enjoy all of it. Sometimes I sight fish. That's my favorite. Now that's terrible. I see that in the comments all the time, which that was something Blockett was a bitch about a long time ago. He was I remember Randy Blockett specifically, he was in the tournament where Dean Rojas caught 45 pounds and he had like 9 a day. And I remember him causing a ruckus back then. He just didn't have access to an iPhone to make videos about it to get views then. So he's always been just against, whatever's going on and for the sanctity of the fish, but also we'll jab them in the face with a mega bass jerkbait. And it's okay to do that. I don't know. Like, I think it's bizarre. We're protecting the bass and we're doing this and we're doing that, but the object is to still catch them. And then we just all attempt to release them back, right? So I think it's so weird that we're eating our own. Like, our industry became this thing where we're just all bitching at each other all the time. And if you're from the outside looking in, and we're all want to grow the sport and whatever, and you look into it right now, and if I click on Bassmaster, who's the king daddy, right, of all of it, and I'm like, holy crap, the Bassmaster Classic is the biggest thing. Oh, look, this young man won. How cool is this? And then I click the comments, and I see this bunch of dudes saying cheater box, cheater. And you're like, if you don't know, right, if you're from outside our world, and you look at that, do you go, whoa, there's a lot of cheating that goes on in this? And there is a lot of cheating goes on, information rules getting broken and whatnot. But it would have seemed like the kid that won was a cheater. Like, it's so crazy. But we're just eating our own instead of like, hey, check out this cool video of this dude catch one on a glide bait, or check this out. How awesome is this? It's not a lot of positivity, man. And I hate that. I do. And from someone that can be negative and has been negative, I apologize for it. Like, damn, if I'd have known having, and I'll call it what it is, a successful podcast, at times by stirring the pot would have led to all these morons showing up and thinking they needed to try to make podcasts and make videos, I would just never done this crap. I'll be honest, because I've been doing this 8 years, man. 8 years of coming up with something to talk about every week, trying to interview people that I find interesting. And if I'm responsible in the least, because my redneck self and several others might have made it look easy and it's a lot of damn work, I apologize to you. I apologize to y'all for pouring gas on the fire, man. I feel like a lot of people sitting in the garages watching me thought that this was easy to do at some point. And And now I do get called by a lot of young guys, the OGs, the OG fishing podcast. And I've got the grays to prove it, man. I got the grays to prove it. But I just think my message, I'll summarize it with this. When it comes to buying batteries, it can be very confusing these days. There are battery companies on every single corner. But one thing is for sure, you can trust the folks at Pro Guide Batteries. They've been in business for over 40 years, trusted by some of the major OEM boat manufacturers in this country. And they've got you covered from lead acid to AGMs to their amazing lithium line, like their new Alpha series that's got more features than any battery should have. Just to be honest, it's kind of crazy what they've got going on. And they've got their new charger line. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com. Use code LBL10 to let them know you are a low lifer. Baitworks.com, bait-wrx.com. That's the home of this little bad boy right here, this LOB jig with that 3/0 trocar hook. Finer than frog hair skirt material, the power finesse jig. So many folks grab those up at the Bassmaster Classic. If you weren't there, go to baitworks.com, bait-wrx.com. Use code Duncan-10 at checkout to let them know you're a lowlifer on everything on the site. Save you some cash, and I appreciate each and every one of you for doing that. Gillfishing.com, makers of the finest outdoor gear out there, from rain suits to layering gear to boots to gloves to beanies, sun hats, sun gloves, you name it, they got it. Gillfishing.com, and they want to save you some cash on some of the best gear out there. LBL20 is where it's at. That's the code to save money, and let them know you are a lowlifer at gillfishing.com. And last but not least, how about the folks from Pickwick Lake Lodge? Traveling is absolutely miserable at times. It can be out there on the dusty highway, especially if you're pulling a boat. But if you're in Counce, Tennessee, I got your back. PickwickLakeLodge.com. It's a mile and a half from Pickwick Land and State Park there in Counce, where all the tournaments go out of. Covered parking from your boat. Designed by bass fishermen for bass fishermen. PickwickLakeLodge.com. Is you do you, boo-boo, okay? If you want to go fishing, go fishing. You want to do it the way you want to do it, do it. Just don't tell everybody that they suck because they don't do it the way you do it. And let's just try to be better. Let's try to be better humans, okay? This goes beyond bass fishing. Let's try to be better humans to each other, because we're not right now, especially in the fishing industry. It is grotesque. And it's the same in the hunting, and it's the same in sports and different things. Go Vols. But I don't know, man. It's really disheartening. It's disheartening, especially like I said, you see the TikTok stuff, and I think Slick called them TikTok turds for a long time, and that is true, man. There's a lot of these folks popping up that, and Slick's got a lot of wannabes that try to be like Slick Johnson. Maybe not after he got jumped and choked. I don't know. They may not be trying to be like Slick now, but really, like, there are always going to be people trying to imitate what's going on out there and what's been going on for a long time. But Blockit has certainly created a lot of this, and a lot of the people just regurgitating. And I just think we got to do better, man. If he made one video saying maybe chill, the goons that follow it would chill. And that's speaking from experience, because there was a time, I'll say this before we move on to our amazing guest today that is well needed. There was a time, and I've said this many times about this exact situation, when I got really nervous when MLF, Jim Wilburn, the piece of garbage that he is, tried to get me fired from TH Marine. And when that was at its most heated in 2019 after my mom passed, I had people commenting like, they messed with our leader. Screw MLF. Started seeing comments like that. And it's like, whoa, buddy, hang on now. Hang on. I've got personal beef with this guy, and I disagree with how they're running this business, and holy crap, but it ain't that, right? I don't want to be anybody's leader. I am put on this earth. One of the reasons that I'm put on this earth, I feel, I like to entertain. I do. I had people say that after the LBL Live the other night. Like, I like to play music. I've never been shy about getting in front of people and doing my thing, whether that's public speaking, whether that's doing a podcast, whether that is trying to share my fishing adventures with you by filming those, whether that's playing music, whether that's bearing my heart in a song. I like to put my work out there, and I am very fortunate that people enjoy it. But this is for entertainment. This is for entertainment and education. Like, I try to let you know what's going on behind the scenes. But it's not like that. It's not a cult type thing. And I would never want anybody to ever like hurt somebody over something I got to say. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking even physically. I'm talking about in the comments, like that kind of thing. Like, it's just a lot of this has gone too far, in my opinion. So that's my PSA for today on the podcast. It's let's just be better. Let's just be better, man. Like, there's a lot of negativity, but again, it's like I talked Blake Tomlin, Justin Foster this weekend on Logan Martin. There's a lot of good stuff going on in bass fishing. There's a lot of good stuff going on in bass fishing. And I've said this on the show over and over and over this year in particular. If you can weed through all this crap, there's a lot of cool things going on in bass fishing. A lot of cool things. Now, before we get to our guests, I will say, I was talking to a veteran Elite Series angler yesterday through text, a good friend of mine, and he said, I've spent 40 years of my life sunburned and putting in my time, and I just don't know where our sport's at right now. And I'm paraphrasing, but, and I do agree. I don't know where our sport's at, but I would say I don't know where it's at because of the negativity. I can't point all the fingers at live scope, even though it has been dominant. I can't point the finger at the fact that these young guys, I said it last week, there's always young guys coming in. Always has been, whether it's Brian Kershaw or Jacob Wheeler or Kevin Van Dam, Jordan Lee, many others. There's always been that guy. But the organizations, with the exception of MPFL, who banned it, they just got rid of live scope. So they're like, well, we'll take that problem out. There's still a lot of negativity around MPFL. There's people in the comments that are bitching about this, bitching about that. MLF tried to make some changes, and they made great changes. I think the BPT format we're going to see, Red Crest is this week. They're going to catch the piss out of on Guntersville. It's going to be insane. Somebody will still find a reason to bitch about how they're catching them. They're catching them on the bed. Let's just stop using hooks. Let's start using our bare hands, guys. These fish are sacred. We've got to just not fish for them. It's a wild time. It's a wild time. But and then you got the Bassmaster negativity, mainly because they are taking chances on their coverage. I think that's from the podcast I did about Easton last week. That was the overwhelming theme in the comments, is people are like, yeah, the coverage just sucks. Like, I don't know what they're doing. And I don't know what they're doing either. I've said that. I don't fault them for trying new things, but I think it's so sad, though. I see a guy like Deion Sanders. Shout out to Matt Looney. Matt Looney with Bass Cat Boats. He and Deion are buds, and he kind of made that happen at the Classic. He got Deion there, and Matt's former MPFL pro, and it was cool as hell that Deion Sanders was there. And dude, there was negativity on that. How could you be negative that dude is supporting our tiny, tiny, tiny little world of professional bass fishing? It's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah, they're taking chances and getting hammered for it. And we are in a very weird time, to say the very least, in the sport. Not sure what that was either. Something just went bang and boom here, and not real sure what's going on with that in the bar and grill. All right, we're going to talk to a fella right now that is always smiling, always laughing, a ray of sunshine in my life and in so many others. He's got a huge following because, like I said about the boys in the ABT, they did it their way. He does it his way all the time. He just finished seventh in the Bassmaster Classic. Made him a top 10. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get us a Cox watch with the one and freaking only John Cox. All right, as promised, here he is, the one and only John Cox. I said we need a dose of that John Cox laugh on Low Budget Live, and here he is, buddy. I appreciate you doing it.
Hey, it's good to see you, Luke.
Good to see you always.
Yeah.
man. And I feel like I need to make you some kind of like championship wrestling belt or something that says most guest appearances ever. Cause I do think in 8 years you win. You're definitely, I got to go back and count. Maybe one of the locals listening can go do that research for me since I don't know, but you're way up there on the guest list.
Yeah, I know it's funny. Like I listen every week and stuff, and I'm like, man, when's Luke gonna call me? Like, I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever, but yeah, we usually try to get it in, about once every year. So.
Once a year, a couple times a year, depending on what's going on. And I didn't get to run into you in Fort Worth. I saw your bride from a distance a couple times and your crew, but I never got to run into you there and all the craziness that was Fort Worth. And let's start there. Top 10 in the Classic, got you a 7th. And you said right before I hit record, thought you had a chance to win after that first day for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that week, just insane how busy it is. That's the kind of thing, you're saying, it's, I didn't get to see really anybody at the show, never got to go. And so like the week was just, it was just fishing, and it was, it was crazy, but, I did feel really good about it. And it's just, it's very, you're like up here thinking, oh my gosh, I'm catching 20 something pounds a day in the Classic, to being like, man, I'm just, not gonna have enough this go, so, but it was a lot of fun.
The roller coaster of emotions, but I think most tournaments are, but in that one, man, it's so life changing. You've already won a Forest Wood Cup. In a tournament like the Classic, do you still get butterflies for that big event? I mean, are you nervous going into the first day of the Bassmaster Classic, even though you've done it for a while now?
No, I mean, I wasn't like super nervous going in. I mean, once I started catching them, because we really didn't know like what the practice everybody had and stuff, and then we have so much time off, you really don't know what to expect. And but like when I that first day when I called, like a 3 for like a 5 or something, and I was thinking, man, I'm like in the 20-pound range. I got a little shaky when I was retying.
You're thinking, okay, this is the big one.
Yeah,
we got a chance. How did you do most of your damage out there? Were there any fish on the bed? That's the bad thing about working the Classic like I do. I feel like I don't know anything going on.
I missed a lot of it. Yeah.
I missed all of it. I feel like.
Yeah. So what it was, we had perfect warming trend. I mean, in the 80s, everything was perfect. But what was happening was we had so much wind that it was just turning bringing all that cold water from the main, blowing it into pockets. It was changing from different directions. So it was kind of kicking them back. Some of the guys talked about getting them off beds a little deeper, on their active target and their perspective and all that stuff. And they were catching those, ones that you couldn't see. But all week, I finally saw one the first day, and I called it out. And then day 2, I rode right by the same bed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another one on there. I completely forget I already called that fish 100 yards from there the day before, and I catch him again, and it's the same fish, and I end up calling that one out day 2 too. Day 3, I go back to catch him again because I was like, man, 3-pounder 3-1 would be great right now, and I spent 30 minutes on him, and I could not catch him.
It was like fool me once, John.
Yeah.
Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on you.
Yeah. But,
damn, dude. That is incredible. That's some MLF stuff, dude.
Yeah.
You were going back to the old days of catching them the first year when y'all could just catch all of them you wanted.
Oh yeah. I remember when my marshal told me that, or my what do they call the way people
official.
And my official told me, they're like, yeah, man, you can go back and catch those fish again. And I was like, oh man, I'm not doing that, and then I get beat by like 100 pounds that last day.
Because they're catching 1 4-pounder over and over and over.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I should have recaught a few of them, but
it is a weird feeling, and I've done that with bedfish, man. I won't say I've cheated, but I had a buddy of mine that had never caught a bass over 5 pounds a couple years ago, and I'd caught a 6-pounder on this lake I fish a ton the day before I took him fishing.
Yeah.
Said, man, I sure do hope we catch a big one today. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And I go right through it.
You set them up for it.
I'm like, throw over there. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a giant one over there. I'm like, yeah. Big one. Throw over there. Sometimes that happens. We take a picture, we release it back. She swims right back.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. What's your take on this perspective mode active target thing with these betters, man? Like I'm all for forward facing, whatever. I enjoy it, but that deal is a little, because I'm a sight fishing nut since a kid. So that one's tripping me out a little bit.
It is wild, and how clear it is now. And I mean, it pretty much, it takes away, what I had that I felt, that was a very, I just, did really well doing that, to where now it's like, I don't know.
So you don't feel like you have an advantage as a sight fisherman now?
Oh no, no, without a doubt. I mean, because I'm stubborn and won't use it, and so like I can only see on calm, clear days, clear water. Just like this last tournament, if it wasn't so windy and the water was clear, I might be able to see some of those deeper fish, but I wasn't able to, without it. But those guys that were able to still see, see them out there were able to get them.
Yeah, I haven't messed with the perspective stuff very much at all. I'm not opposed to it, like I said, but it is sight fishing to me. And of course now I'm seeing, and we always have had a few negative comments, but I'm seeing a ton of negative comments. Hell, wiredtofish.com put out an article last week about betting fishing during the spawn is horrible. And, I just saw the headline. I'm like, what are we doing? Should we just not use hooks anymore? Like, let's just not fish for these things. And I do understand that it could stress them or whatever, but man, I think our fisheries are in pretty good shape. I think we can all agree, like a lot of weights, especially what we've seen on some of these live scope deals, like these younger guys, like on the Tennessee River, what they're doing. We're like, holy crap, we thought our lakes were not that great anymore. No, they just adjusted to our fishing pressure. Right. It's what I think we're seeing to a certain extent, but sight fishing to me has always been, it's had this mystique around it. I think that's why I liked it when I was a kid, and the guys that were dialed, like yourself, but even the legends before you, a Shaw Grace, like, you don't want to get in that gunfight with Shaw, or Guido. Like he was, they were going to mop the floor with you, because they knew how to read the fish. They knew what baits, they knew when to pull the plug, and all right, we got to get out of here. And to me, I am a little disappointed, just a little bit, that the guys with their eyeballs don't have the advantage. And I also feel like too, though, and you're to blame for this, John Cox. Legends like yourself. No, we've educated so many people, right, on how to catch them. And so I think that has made sight fishing less dominant, because man, even where I'm at, I've got a couple lakes that that's what I love to do, like the entire April. And I've made videos, and I've done, like during COVID, I made a ton of video, and dude, now I can't, I mean, they're just all plucked away, or they're spooky. And we've just all done that because with sponsors and different things, we have to, we feel it's our jobs, to kind of make and educate and things. And I do feel like we might not ever see a sight fishing win again. Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I hope so. I mean, we might. I mean, we have our NPFL coming up on Norman. I mean, that will probably we'll see that happen. I think. I mean,
that's true. That's true.
I mean, unless it ends up being like a big swim bait thing, which is possible too. But
I
don't know. But it is. It's definitely not like it used to. So when I won those couple opens on Chick, they're pretty close together. I just remember the first one. It might have been 16 or 17 or 18, somewhere in there. But I remember guys being like, man, there's a big one right over, in the tournament. They're like, there's a big one over there and I can't catch it. And I was like, where is it? Where exactly is that at?
Why would you? It's like beating a lion. Why would you?
All those guys that it might have been day 2 set me up on so many fish, while we were out there, that like 3 of the 5 I weighed in were guys that are like, I can't catch them, and I was just like, and now now they're getting caught. Everybody knows how to catch them now,
Or they're getting messed with. Either getting caught or getting messed with. And I remember a Chickamauga FLW, the 2019 one that you won. And I made the cut there in that one. And I had an offshore spot that was killer, but I was also catching some off the bed every day. I was catching like one good one off the bed every day. And I ran into you, and I'm sure you don't remember this because you were catching the hell out of them, but I've told this story multiple times on the show. I'll tell it again in front of you. we're in, and I may have told it with you on the show. I can't remember. But anyways, we're in this cut, and I had just buzzed down a bank, and I didn't see any over there. And I knew there was like a 5-pounder I knew about that I'd seen the day before, and she wasn't ready. And so I just made this quick pass. Didn't see anything new. Okay, cool. So I go over to, and then a boat's coming in, and it's you, but I don't know that. It's just a boat idling. I'm like, oh crap, I got to get over here on this 5-pounder. So because it was like very obvious and out in the open. So I go over there to this fish, and you pull in, and you're like, did you see this bit? Like you asked me, like we're having friendly conversation. It was like an 8-pounder. And I'd gone right over it. And I'm like, no, I didn't see it. I didn't. No, buddy, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And you kind of course, I did catch the 5. I ended up catching the 5. But yeah, you won that event, John Cox. I was like, this son of a gun's got X-ray vision, because I do feel like I can see them. I really do. It's always like, if there's one thing I'm halfway decent at in bass fishing, it's that. I love sight fishing. I've done it since I was a kid. I've been obsessed with it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you're really not good at this, because you and Keith talking about this over the years has just been mind blowing. But that one tournament in particular, I was like, yeah, I'm playing a men's game here, and I feel like I might be in middle school right now. I was blasting them in that tournament, and I'm like, damn it, John! Like I was so tore up. Made the top 20 cut that evening, and I was pumped.
Yeah.
All I thought about was that damn fish.
Yeah. Oh man,
unbelievable, man! Yeah. But I did. Well, you and Keith had the duel last year against Lake of the Ozarks, right?
Yeah.
So, it can still happen, and it will happen again for sure. Yeah. I think we'll see it. The stars have to align, as you well know. Right. That win a multi-day event with bettors, it just doesn't happen as much anymore. I feel like, because of weather or what other any other factor that comes in. It's just tough.
Right. Yeah.
I want you to win the Classic for obvious reasons, because I'm a huge John Cox fan. But I want you to win at sight fishing when it happens.
Oh gosh,
3 days of just
Well, maybe we'll get them to go back to Florida one of these days. Like I remember still watching that one. I think the one Clausen won on Toho. I mean, that was like, man, everything lined up. And them guys were jacking them that week.
Dude, Rick Clun caught a 10-pounder on a spinner.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I do remember. Yeah,
like the famous clip of Rick, like his tongue's hanging out, and he's like his hand shaking. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Why do you think? I mean, obviously, I know these towns pay. We all know kind of how the game works. That was their first ever springtime classic when they went to Toho. Mm-hmm. Why are we not seeing that again? I
don't know. We're so crowded and busy down here. It's probably just, they got to put up so much money to have us there, and they're like, oh, we got, even like we got that little Airbnb. I mean, it's booked solid,
true.
All the way until, June or July, so
yeah.
I think that's what it is. It's just, they got so much going on, but
I would love to see, a Harris chain class.
Yeah, that's what. Well, I mean, what about a Winter Haven chain?
See,
come on,
it's so untapped. Professional.
It would be epic at Winter Haven chain. I mean, it wouldn't, not because like I fished it a lot, but like everybody would do really well. It's just like Harris chain, completely different lakes. There would just be a lot. It'd be neat to see it unfold out there, to see what happens.
How close is Winter Haven to like Orlando? An hour?
Yeah, probably at the most, just south of it. Yeah, I mean, at most, it might be. Honestly, it might be a shorter drive than your Harris chain to Orlando.
Yeah, because that's what, an hour and a half probably to Leesburg, something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Well, to me, with what they do at Grand Lake, anything is in play, because that's a long freaking drive.
Or even like the one we just had was insane. Like it was.
How far?
It was like it was an hour and 5, hour and 10 without traffic on the toll road, but in traffic you were looking at a couple hours. But it was but you look around all the lakes, and I'm like, oh, thank God we're on Ray Roberts and not some of the other ones. Yeah,
no doubt about that. When they had the last time they went to Gunnersville, they've done it a couple times now.
Yeah.
When they go from Birmingham to
Oh
Gunnersville.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
over 100 miles. That's a long
yeah,
way. So it
yeah.
really,
That I forgot about that one. That one was that
yeah,
might have been one of the furthest ones.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of Grand right now, but Grand might have been
Grant's,
an hour and 20 or hour
no,
and 10
dude, I think
too.
it's like an hour and 45.
It might
It's
be.
a long day to Wolf Creek from
Yeah,
Tulsa is a long
yeah.
ways.
I
If I,
must have blocked that drive out.
yeah, I hate Grand Lake. I'm sorry, all you Grand Lake people that listen. I'm sorry. I hate your
Yeah.
lake. I had one good tournament there one time, and when they were, you remember you fished that one, the tour event that Christy won. I
Oh,
fished it.
I missed that one.
You
I
didn't
didn't
fish
go
that
to. No, but Benji
dude.
went and he was like, "Man, he's like, you should have been here at that one."
Dude, it was every bass between 3 to 5 pounds was on a willow tree that was flooded in June, and it did those suckers bit. It was the most fun week of bass fishing maybe that I've ever had. Like practice.
Really?
Yes, dude. I practiced with Gagliardi for that one, and then in the tournament I drew out with Jim Tutt, and then and I caught him pretty good with Jim, and he wasn't fishing trees. And then I drew Ish the second day, and Ish was in second, and
Wow.
we throttled them.
Really?
Dude, I'm catching them behind Ish. He's throwing a frog, and I'm just flipping everything in sight and catch like all day. We're both.
Oh my gosh!
It was so much fun, dude.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Jason Christie won. Andy Morgan was second, and they were fishing basically the same general area within a couple hundred yards of each other. And I believe Andy ended up finishing second.
Yeah.
And Mitch and I got close to him.
Yeah.
That day, he went to fish a little point of willows, and I'll never forget just hearing schwack and bushes breaking and splashing going on. I mean, dude, and it's like the co-anglers catching them, Jason's catching them, Andy's catching them. It was insane how many.
Wow.
And I'll tell this real quick. So in practice, I drove out and I was staying with Gagliardi, and Anthony is not a bush guy. He's not a damn willow tree. Like Anthony is real, you know, Gags.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Technical. He's an engineer by trade. He is one of the most like specific guys I've ever seen, but he loves offshore fishing. And I think I only got to maybe practice one day, but anyways, I called him and I was crossing all these creeks and they were just blown out.
Yeah.
Flooded. And he's fixing to pick me up at the ramp the day we were going to get to practice. And I said, dude, are you fishing in these trees or anything? Like,
yeah.
And I have no clue. Like, I've not talked to anybody. And he's like, no, man, I'm fishing some points. And he's like, I've got a few fish found. And I said, we should go try that. Maybe I feel like that could be a deal this week. Like we're just joking. So we get in the boat and he goes, you know what? First trees we come up on, and we're on the very lower end. He said, first trees we come up on, I'll let you flip at them. I'm like, okay. So we're running down the lake, and there's like 6 flooded willows we can see that are just in like this little indention in the main lake. And he pulls in. Dude, the first cast I make, I catch a 5-pounder on a frog. And I looked at him and I said, you haven't done this any? What? And he said, no, I haven't. And so, dude, we went and did it and had an absolute ball. First day of the tournament, he caught like 7 pounds, and I'm not making fun of Gags at all, but he never did it. I was like, dude, and I get back that, you're not allowed to talk really as a angler. I couldn't tell him anything. Yeah. And I'm like you, did you see the names that are up there? Do you know what's happening right now? Just go to a bush, dude. Put a brush in it. Just go do that. He never did, but dude, that's my Grand Lake positive experience. And then I fished 2 more tournaments there, and I wish they would drain it. I did catch like a 7 there in an FLW one time on my last cast, lucky cast of the day.
Wow.
And got beat by John Canada for big bass by 1 ounce, but I'm not.
Oh, geez.
No big deal. I'm not
wow.
And missed a $10,000 check. I was like one place out of that too.
Oh God, that is the worst. Like out of all of it that can go wrong, that missing that check by like an ounce or like a place or dead fish penalty. I mean, that drive home is rough.
It is very, very rough. Unfortunately for me, it's happened a lot. Fortunately for you, it hasn't happened here.
It's happened a couple times.
You're on the right side of that check and cut line most of the time, buddy. So So let's go back to the Classic. And I know there's been a lot said about Easton winning, and I think Easton's a fine young man. We just are at a different place in bass fishing. We've got a lot of youth between MLF and Bassmaster's high school initiatives and college initiatives. Like, this was bound to happen. And then you've got this perfect storm where it is married with this technology that we're seeing dominate, but everybody's got access to it. Yep. It's with the rules. Everybody, there are over 50 of the most amazing fishermen in the country in that event, and they all had access to the same thing. And Easton he's dialed in.
Oh, like he's definitely dialed in. It didn't even matter where he went. Like, he just, he even said it. He even fished different places. He was dialed in and caught him.
As a veteran, though, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, because I know you're the least negative person I know, and obviously I know that Easton is a great champ and will represent our sport well. But does it, for you? You're not anti. You've just chosen not to go down that path. Like, you're like, hey man, I do what John Cox does. Yeah. I've always done it my way. But what are your thoughts on it? That it is so dominant, I guess. I
mean, I'm not using it because I feel like it takes away the whole. To me, it does the whole guessing of wondering, like, are they there? Are they not there? And I don't know. That's kind of part of it that I like. The hunt of it. Trying to find this thing you can't see. So that's kind of why I don't mess with it terribly much. I've seen it. I've used it on Keith's boat, and I'm just like, man, and that's the thing. When you put that in someone's hand, that's a good fisherman, and they get dialed in, then they're gonna dominate, and and that's what Easton probably could have. He's a really good fisherman without it even.
Oh, for sure,
So I think he's gonna win a lot more. Now that he has that dialed in too.
What do you think the difference in those guys? Because, like I said, everybody's got access to it. You choose not to, but most of the guys, especially on the elites, they choose to. We've got a handful of dudes. Easton's one of them. Drew Gill's one of them. Mm-hmm. We got these young guns down here on the Tennessee River, the Nut Brothers. I'm sure you've heard them.
Oh, yeah. Won every other weekend.
Yeah, man, it's insane. Hayden Marbett won the Toyota Championship. Toyota on Gunnersville last year, and there's a few more. But what do you think separates them from everybody else that has it? Is it that, with a veteran angler that's been out there for a long time, is that the past still calls your name? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think separates that group?
Gosh, I'm sure that group, I think, because I have thought the same thing you're thinking, like, man, why are these guys so good? They just have to love it, I think, to where even if they didn't have the technology, it might take a little more time to be on top like that. But I think some of those guys, that group, that are really good with it, they would have figured out, without it, but it just would have took a lot longer,
the learning curve,
a lot more learning to it. Because you even look at, when we didn't have any of that stuff, like Wheeler was probably, he came in, he did really well, but there wasn't a lot of people like that, but he still had bad days. Like, you remember when we fished, he would have some days where he would catch 6-7 pounds, and then would make up, do really good the next day or whatever. Oh, yeah. But you just don't, with the technology these days, you don't see those bad days. Bad day now is like 17, 18, 20 pounds,
It's true.
The bad days aren't that bad. They're like kind of my good days. So
dude, you make a good point. I said on the show, I did a show about is 30 the new 20?
Yeah, I saw that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Dirty 30s were just like this. Holy shit. Somebody called 30 pounds. And now it's like, 31, 34, 36, 31, 32.
Or even like a 10 pounder. Like, you remember, it's like, man, you got like 10. If you caught a 10 pounder every year, you were like, man, like, I caught a 10 pounder this year. Dude, now it's like they're catching like dozens of them.
You're staring at a 41-year-old man right now that's touched 2 9-pounders but never caught one over 10, and Josh Jones does it every 7 minutes. He's posting on Instagram. like caught another 12 today. And I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it helps to be really good, and it helps to be in an area such as yourself in Florida that's got a lot of giants,
Right.
but like
Yeah.
to the average guy, and I feel like we're getting numb to that, right?
Yeah.
It's like if I stare at boobs all day long, maybe,
Yeah.
well, I was going to say maybe I wouldn't get as excited, but no, I like boobs. I'd still look at them.
Yeah.
I bet it never gets old catching 10-pounders.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that. I was actually going to say,
you were thinking,
I was going to say get desensitized, but you know what?
Yeah.
That was a bad reference.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd still look at boobs. So if I saw just a ton of boobs every day, my wife's going to watch this and she's going to say, do you want to see a ton of boobs every day? That's what you're looking for in life?
Just yours, babe. Just yours.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I've never edited out anything I've ever said on this podcast.
You might want to cut that part out.
No, I'm good with it. I was trying to draw a line. I was going to use another reference, but I decided not to. I was going to say,
I'm glad you held that one back.
Yeah, I had another one I was going with, John, and then the boobs popped in my old brain there. So sorry. I'm sorry. You know what? I think we should start talking about that more in fishing, okay? Because we're all going to need to do an OnlyFans at some point anyway.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, John boy. Yeah. So life lesson here, kids, all you low lifers out there, you never get desensitized to something that's great. That's the point.
That's a good lesson there.
It is a good lesson, but it is wild. Like you say, you just see, I mean, it was a really big deal to hear about a 10-pounder in a tournament.
Yeah.
Wherever it was at. I don't care if it was at your house or Texas or Pickwick or whatever. You heard of a 10. You're like, dude, somebody called a 10 in a tournament. And you're right. Yeah. You hear it so much now.
Yeah. I mean,
it is kind of crazy. There was a 13 called on Santee Cooper in a BFL. I think it was a co-angler.
Wow.
13-pounder right the week before we were there for MPF.
Yeah.
Insane, man. So it is funny when you said 17 pounds is a good day for you.
Yeah.
That's a good stringer.
Yeah.
It is.
Anymore. Yeah.
Like how we grew up, 17. You catch 17 a day for the rest of your life, you're a dog, son.
Oh,
you are as good as it gets. But these days it's a little tougher.
Yeah. Yeah. That was even at the Classic. I think I had 22 and then 23 or something. And I was like, I'm catching them. You know, like I couldn't really. From where I was like, I don't know if I could do much better unless I caught a real big one, but they were all the same size, but
22 and 23 is not, just falling asleep at the wheel. But when you got 28s and 27s and 27s, it is mind blowing, man. And I know it's got to be because I've fished enough tournaments, especially on the tour, and you come in like a place like Champlain used to get, you have like 16 pounds, you catch 100, you're like, hell yeah, good day. And you come in and you're 90th or whatever. Yeah. Like it is very frustrating. So I can only imagine what it's like, especially in those big weight events, man, because these boys put it on. And for me, I know people give LiveScope a ton of credit on that, but dude, I feel like it happens even when it's not a LiveScope event. I feel like it takes more weight to do well in tournament bass fishing right now than it ever has.
Right.
Even if it's a shallow water beatdown tournament, I feel like the cut weights are higher than they ever have been most of the time.
Yeah.
You agree with that? Like,
I'm curious. Well, to see how, our year goes on the MPFL, and then we'll really be able to know, because I even like, some of our shallower tournaments, the guys are still using the stuff. So I don't know.
That is true.
We really haven't seen like our Santee was like that was like the first like legit, like no one had it, and then, they blasted them. I wasn't even close. Like it was,
what a weird deal too, man. I mean, not that they called him, but like guys like yourself, Justin Atkins, there were so many friends of mine that are shallow water gurus, and Santee was misleading. The weights looked really good, but if you were off by an inch, you were off by a mile. Like
Oh,
it was
yeah.
very, very much the case. It
Yeah.
looked awesome. People were like, man, I'm going to take a vacation to Santee. It's like, yeah, not that easy.
Yeah.
That easy.
Yeah. It was. I mean, like the first day I just missed them, and I caught two small keepers, and then I just struggled the whole week, but and then and then like Hackney went by me one of the days, and I mean he's just a machine. Like when you like I haven't really, I mean, I watched him on TV. I never really like, and I try not to fish by anybody, but I got to watch him make probably 20 casts, and I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near this guy. Cause like he's just gonna put me to shame. Like he's just dialed and he's chunking I mean I found myself watching him more than I was throwing, and I was like, I got to get out of here. Like it's just crazy. How good he like just feeling around with either he was spinnerbaiting or chattering or whatever. And it was just it was crazy
Around those cypress trees.
Yeah, and even just in like open, like he was just like he was fishing everything as he was going. Like, I was going and I'd like hit some points, throw some trees, maybe, swim the jig through a clump of trash or whatever. But like, he was moving fast and he was just picking it apart. Like really,
he's a scary dude.
When he gets, I was like, ain't no way I'm going to be able to hang with him in here.
Going back to what you said about NPFL, I guess we'll see on the overall cut weights. I worry that people will compare it because of that. But unfortunately, I think we're going to have we've got a couple events that could be tougher. You know what I mean? Just the time of year wise.
Right.
Like which so spread out, which is cool. Like I like a tough tournament. Give me some 12-pound-a-dayers to do well. Right. Like some grinders, as Swindle says. I think that Coosa River, September, Logan Martin out in Alabama Bass Trail there this weekend. And dude, they blasted them.
Right.
Absolutely blasted them. But I do think September will be a little grimy. Like that one's going to be tougher. I think Eufaula, Oklahoma in June could be, depending on the weather, could be a little grimy. Yeah. So who knows what's coming weight wise, because I do think the schedule, I like the lakes we're going to, but I just think the time of year will dictate the weights a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah. But it will be interesting. I mean, those are some that I don't, we're all kind of like, no one really knows,
Yeah.
And then we go to St. Lawrence. This is one I'm most looking forward to. That one. We go to St. Lawrence River. I want to say like the week after 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
And I'm just so curious if because it's just been dominated so strongly by, with the forward facing there. Like, right before all that, I was doing so well there that I'm just wondering if I'm just curious how, how that one's even what's gonna happen there.
And we're going out of Messina.
Yeah.
So the lake and all that is a long, long, long ways away in play. So I really believe it'll be a river tournament.
Yeah, well, because I don't know how I know guys ran the lake before, but without forward facing, it was a lot harder to catch those big bags. I don't feel like many people did it as much, I mean, there's been a few people that went down there and won, but I don't know. There's just every one of our ones on the schedule. I'm kind of like,
the one
wanting to see how it unfolds,
that one's definitely circled for me. Like as far as just, going to commentate it as a fan, that one's going to be cool because y'all are going to catch them. St. Lawrence River's great, but what will there be largemouth caught? Right? Will you have some guy like who knows? Right? Like there's going to be a lot of things at play with no live scope. And then the one for me that's going to be really interesting, just because I'm a Tennessee boy, is Douglas in May.
Oh my God, I almost forgot about Douglas.
That one's I'm like I don't know, like how's it going to go? Like if the water gets up, who knows?
Yeah, well, because so let me think back. So the last one I can remember on Douglas, big one was that one Jeremy Starks one, and it was the end of May, and he was long lining the crankbaits out there, and just hammering them. And I think he blew that one away.
He did.
Yeah.
And then rode off.
And that was, someone could really do that out there. So I don't know.
Well, and they've had with all the hurricane stuff over there in East Tennessee and North Carolina, they ended up with a lot of trash in the lake. There's a lot of debris. That one's going to be that one's interesting for me. Norman, y'all are going to blast them. That should
that'll
be
a fun
y'all should
one.
hit that one right on.
Yeah, Norman's always fun. Even when we've gone in the fall, it's always a fun lake to fish.
Get a lot of bites. That one will be fun. I think you win that one. No pressure. No pressure.
No.
Your first MPF field. You've been close. This is it right here.
Yeah.
Putting everybody on notice.
Yeah, that one would be nice.
I had it. It was funny. I was doing some notes before you got on, and I was going to ask you, man, what's your approach to MPFF? Just because I'm so used to asking the other guys.
Yeah.
Because there's no forward facing, but then it's just your same approach everywhere. I literally have a line through it. Look on my little notes.
You just crossed it out. Yeah.
Because I had like Billy Lowen I had on to Classic in the Express booth. I was talking to him about it. I asked Hackney. I've asked Swindle this year. What's going to be your approach, man? You go from forward facing to non, and then I wrote down that same question for John without thinking.
Yeah, that was funny when I went into the meeting with Santee, and then like there was just one capsule thing that shuts it off on the table, and they're like, "Whose is that?" And then they had my name on it, and I was like, "Oh, I don't need that."
Dude, you got a lot of people pulling for you because of it. I mean, it's now I don't know if it's the people you want pulling for you, because some of them are kind of crazy these days. These folks are you think somebody's slapping their damn mama the way they're acting about electronics and bass fishing. Like, people are getting wild right now, dude.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting a little wild.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Do you ever? Because
I mean, that's part of the reason it scares me to put it on. I mean, I remember when I swapped from the Fortrex to the Ultrex for one tournament. Oh my gosh. It was like I was a trader.
If you put live scope active target on the front of your Vexus, your house gets burned down the next day. They'll be like, you're seeing all these folks that are protesting Tesla and all this stuff right now.
Yeah.
A bunch of dudes. Just they'll have Randy Blockett t-shirts on, man. And I don't even know if Randy's got t-shirts, but they'll be wearing, Blockett for president shirts down there in damn what's your hometown again? Yeah, I was gonna say D-Berry. Yeah, D-Berry. They're gonna be in D-Berry, and they'll be like, John Cox sucks rocks or something like that. It'll be something like that, and they'll be burning crosses in your yard. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah, I'll just stick without it.
You'll just hear all these grown men just cry. Just cry.
Oh gosh,
it would happen. Dude,
I get mine. I don't know. I know.
If you want some views in life, and you can make money off of views, John, just start doing daily live forward facing sonar tips.
Oh my god!
And I'm just going to get the popcorn out.
Yeah,
hey guys, what's up? It's John Cox here. Going to show you how I like to set up my active target. Just boo.
I think I am going to start doing that. I think it'd be
you would have to retire. You would have to retire. Just you know what? I'm sorry. Take the Vexus back to flipping. Just give it to that.
They would probably call me and tell me to come drop it back off.
I don't know, man. Oh my gosh. But you are, I see people there. I saw it in the comments. It was funny. So many of them were like, you take away forward facing from these boys. This is John Cox's Classic.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ready to fight for you, bro.
Yeah. Oh God.
And I know you gotta appreciate it. I know you do.
Yeah. I mean,
the voice of a generation, John Cox.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, also, to be fair, the people that hate live scope so much, they're also like, bunch of spinning rod sissies. Yeah. I hate them. You're a spinning rod guy.
I know. I try not to pick it up, but boy, when I pick it up, I seem to catch the crap out of them. I
was gonna say, when do you not pick it up? For the last
I fight it a lot. Like I fought it the other day, and I was fun fishing while I was up there on the day off, and I was fighting it. I had I was throwing my frog and my swim jig, and I was with Tom Reddington. Tom's like, why don't you pull your spinning rod out? I was like, nah, man, we're having fun. I don't want to pull that out. But boy, man, when I pulled it out, man, we went to catch him. Like it was,
Game
oh
on.
man, it
Game
was
on.
unbelievable.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, man. Oh, I love it so much. So, so I got to ask you, do you see, so when that negativity happens, and obviously none of it's directed towards you, and if anybody ever directs negativity towards John Cox, I'm gonna show up at your house. Okay. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this dude doesn't need any negativity. But do
No.
you see that like on the Bassmaster post? Are you guys talking about
I,
that? The lead anglers, are y'all like screenshot? Is there a group text where people are like, oh, shit, what's going on?
no, I mean that we do. Everybody kind of talks to her like, "Oh my gosh, you see what that person said?" Or like, but there is a lot of hate on some of that stuff, and that's kind of like when Chase and Logan, they were fishing in my backyard. They do a lot of the video stuff for bass, and they were like, "Hey, can you do a tip video?" And I was like, "Nah." I was like, let's do this idea I had about doing like with my garage and do like a hoarders episode." So we went and shot this. I don't know. Have you seen it?
I don't think
Maybe you
I,
haven't seen it. So
I
we
haven't
shot
seen it.
this video in my garage that was it was like straight up like the hoarder show, had the kids in it. And I mean it was just the garage is bad and we were just acting, kind of acting. But it was so good. The comments were good and like, it had like, 160 or 70,000 views. Like it was,
Heck,
it was just refreshing, something different, and everybody kind of laughed about it. So I thought it was cool, we got to do that.
well, I feel like you did one of those with Bass or with FLW back in the day, like a Bass Cave or
Oh
whatever. I
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
we did that. Yeah. This new one, you'll have to look at it. It's on my Instagram or
Okay,
whatever. But it's
I missed that somehow in the fray.
yeah.
I don't know how.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was funny. We're gonna do like a 10 years later. I started cleaning it and I got all this. Plano sent me like 3 pallets full of organization stuff. So like I got like now I got all this pressure, like I have to organize it. But
dude, I know you really, really well, and I feel like you don't need any more tackle boxes because you take like a handful of crap with you when you fish.
yeah,
You got like
yeah.
Ziploc bags.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I like
you
try
did
so much stuff these days. It's crazy. Like I either go on Tackle Warehouse and order new stuff to, stuff that, just to try to, because when you're going and you're catching your 17, 18 pounds and it's not any good anymore, you're thinking, well, man, I gotta get some, I gotta find some of this, I gotta use some of these baits I haven't used. But
Well, you added a crankbait in a few years ago, and you won an FLW doing that. And then I've seen you personally in some NPFLs. You like that? You like to throw that Nessie around a little bit. You like to throw
yeah.
that around. Have you gotten obsessed with the big swim bait stuff
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Like I honestly, I after Smith Lake, I had a lot of them come up, get it, and not get it, and miss them.
Yeah.
I locked them in the truck. Now they, I just during tournament day, I'm like, I don't know if I should bring these or not. But yeah, I mean, I do. It's that problem because it's so fun to throw.
Oh, it's the
You know,
best.
it's
Yeah.
like if I was just fun fishing, or I was like I had to, I got to go out Saturday and just fish that one day. That's probably all I would throw.
Yeah, that is truly, and I think I said it on this episode before I brought you on. I don't tournament fish anymore because I work 22 weekends a year covering bass tournaments. So I don't get to, I don't, and at the good times of year when there are a lot of, so just schedule wise, I can't. It's not that I don't want to, I just can't. So I fun fish a ton and I find myself locking a big bait in my hand more than not anymore. Like no matter the time of year, like I've got several friends that are really dialed in that world that love it. Now they're a little more dialed than I am in the fact that they've got thousands of dollars worth of like the gear.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long to rack it up.
No.
I bought last week. I was very proud of this. It was the most expensive reel that I've ever bought, and it's not that expensive, I guess, in the ways of some of this stuff. But I bought a Shimano Tranx, which is like the big swim. It's got the big single handle on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The one. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a swim baiter now, dude. I've got a custom swim bait rod. One of my swim bait guru buddies got me to buy. He's like, you need this 8-foot medium heavy, blah, 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 out of Texas. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Give me one of those. And he's like, I can get you one used for like $300. And I was like, holy hell. Okay. Yeah, man, get me one.
Yeah.
And I got that and I put that Tranx on there, dude.
Yeah.
I'm in style now, buddy.
Wow.
And I got rods with guides missing and reels that ain't never been cleaned. And then I got that bad boy laid up there on the front deck. with a beautiful $200 glide bait. Like I know that
Oh, jeez, man.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
Yeah, that's what ends up happening.
It is. But I could see in tournaments, Brad Knight, who you know real well, one of my best friends, he used to dabble with it even like 10 years ago. He'd throw people out, a lot in FLWs, but he would always say, he's like, if you catch them on a tournament day with it, you get one day. He's like, it's not a multi-day deal most of the time. It will burn you. He'd throw it a lot in practice just to kind of gauge, and then he'd kind of put it down because you don't want to show it to him. Yeah. But he was really the first one that got me into it along, like the year I fished co-angler. He would talk about it a lot. And but it's not. Now we've got some that are, I mean, we saw Brandon Polnick at Okeechobee, big one on it. Carl Jacobson has really used it. Several other guys mix it in, but I don't think you can just lock it in your hand.
Right. That's my problem is, and I mean, that goes with like, even if I started using the forward face or whatever, like my problem is once I get that one bite or catch that one, like I'm just so like, I just get too committed to it, where if I could just pick it up and throw it for a few minutes and catch one or something, and keep moving, it'd be great. But, it's hard to put it down,
I totally get that. And and especially like I caught a 7-pounder, I guess, Wednesday afternoon this week. And it was the only bite I had in like 6 hours.
Jeez.
But it
was probably, did you see it? Get it?
No, I didn't, because the water was a little stained.
Oh, yeah.
And, it actually bit. I'm going to post the clip this week, but it bit with like 3 feet of line out.
Oh, my God.
On the clip, I got my camera behind me, and you actually watch. It's funny. You can see the line jump before I even knew it had it, because there's, you got slack, right?
Oh, yeah.
I sent the clip to Darian. He goes, bro, zoom in on your line. So I'm like doing the chop thing, like I'm working the reel before it gets to the boat. Yeah. And I pause, and when I do, the line just goes, whoop, starts going, and all of a sudden this fish just annihilates it and bows me up right at the boat. But anyways, then I go do it for several more hours and never have another. Most of the times I actually it's cool watching them get it, obviously.
Yeah.
I feel like the ones that you see a lot, you don't actually get to bite. Yeah. They just follow. The best ones are on a long cast for me, because then you don't how it is, dude. You watch one come up right at the boat, make a mistake sometimes. Like it's different if it's a bedding fish, but like if you're chasing it, you're like, oh God. And so
that's my problem. I love it so much that I find myself just pitching it so I can see it the whole time. And then it's like, and then it's like you said, like you get one coming, and man, your heart, and you're pulling it away from them. But I think a lot of fun.
And I think a lot of times the ones that bite it, they might bite it regardless, right? Like they're just focused in, they're not paying attention that the boat might be around. And I have a lot of them get it at the boat, but I do think why you don't catch some of those, and this is just my opinion, and I'm not a swim bait expert, and there are a lot of people that know more about it than I do. I just think you run out of line a lot. I think that when you get them in that like 4 to 5 feet from the boat and they're all over it, well, they can see you at that point if they take their eye off the bait. But I think you just run out of opportunity. Maybe if you had another, 20 feet, you might get that.
You could probably get them.
Maybe. I feel that way. You know?
That's why I try to do the figure 8 thing, and you're like, oh, just make an 8. But it's actually kind of complicated.
It's very complicated.
You're all tangled up in the tip, and then like I ran the swim bait into the tip, and oh man, it was a disaster. Yeah, the guys that do that make it look like, oh, dude, that's easy. Just I look like a moron. Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet.
No, I've seen guys. There's a dude, the homeless fisherman, and I forget. He's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Fishes off a paddleboard a lot.
Yeah.
I met him at ICAST last year with Alton Jones Jr. Huge fan of what this dude. He fishes with his pet iguana on a paddleboard, and he catches giants in Texas on a big glide all the time. But he's actually got a video where he like figure 8s, but he smacks that glide bait on top of the water.
Yeah,
and it's like 8-pounder just like a spook or whatever.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that in Tennessee. Them fish on Pickwick ain't doing that.
No.
They're like, We're good, bud.
Yeah, no, we're all right.
We're all right. They ain't eating that. Now he might get
Yeah.
them too.
No.
He might get them too.
Yeah.
All right, I want to ask you two things before we wrap up. The first one is, where do you think, and I've asked a lot of guys this, but where do you think we're headed as a whole with the sport? Or I'll give you two options on that. Where do you think we're headed, or where would you like to see us headed? Because I just feel like we're in a very toxic time, right? I thought the split was bad in 2019. I talked about it a ton, obviously.
Right.
But buddy, we ain't say nothing.
No,
like
no.
like the Bass Pro Tour Elite Series split was like, oh my God, this might be the pro fishing. And no, it's not. It's where we're at right now.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm sure we're going to see some changes. I think over the next 5 years or so. I don't know if it's gonna like. I don't, not to say like all the technology stuff's going to go away, but I think they're going to maybe either do like a little, where we're not using it all the time, and kind of, because
like
there's still
like BPT did.
Kind of, yeah, because there's still a lot of guys. Like I ran into Kevin the other night in the elevator after the classic was over, and I'm like, well, how is this guy not fishing anymore? Like he's just not, or not fishing the tournaments. He's not even really that old yet.
No, not at all.
And it just kind of like, I just think, there's just a lot of guys that should still be in this that kind of started it. It's kind of so that.
I agree.
That part's kind of, so I don't know. I'm thinking we're going to see where, like what we're doing at MPFL. I think that's just going to keep getting better and better. And then I think, everybody else will kind of, I don't know, maybe not follow, but probably will do something with it where it's not,
I know MLF's going to make some changes next year. That's the word on the street for sure.
Yeah.
The BFL levels, there's going to be some changes for sure.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what the bunch at Bass does with it. I feel like they tried to make changes this year, but I feel like it's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole when you can use, 37,000 inches of screen or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
crazy to think. I mean, I had a little 7-inch hummingbird at one point. Look at this zooming in on me.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Dude, that was impressive. Was that what? Did you just hit a button and did that?
Nobody. So the people that watch the show all the time know this. Unfortunately, I have a camera that it picks up on hand signals, and I talk with my hands. It's a new camera that I got in January, and I'm not used to the damn thing. And I'll get excited and get to go.
Yeah.
And zooms in right on the old noggin, bud.
Yeah, wow. Our heads are almost the same size now.
Wow,
that's fancy.
It's fancy, and I hate it, actually. I hate the camera. I was doing an Alabama Bass Trail podcast with Miss Kay the other day, and it zoomed in like right on the tip of my nose. It went all the way in the rest of me. And I don't. And the thing is, John, I'm just a dumb redneck in Tennessee, and I don't know how to make it go backwards.
Yeah.
I got to Google that. Anyways, there we go. You get to see my old boy hat up close.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Okay. The last thing is, how have you, because you said on the show, you thought about going to redfish tournaments, and you and Keith have been doing that. So how is that going?
Oh man. So we went to that first one, got just shellacked. Like I caught one fish, I think in 3 days. Like it is a lot harder. And like people are like, oh, redfish are dumb. You just go, man, you got to find them to begin with, you're in the intercoastal and ocean, like it's massive, big
big play.
And when you don't know anything, it's been very hard, very difficult. We did 3 of them so far, and I think we have enough points to where we're going to the championship. And one of them we finished decent in. We came in, the one that we had in Jacksonville. We came in 15 minutes early. I was like, dude, we got 2 that are almost, like just almost too big. I'm like, we've killed it. We're gonna be in the top 10. Dude, we got I think we ended up like 40th. Out of like 100 something guys. But we got enough points in. We're getting to go to their championship at I think it's in Louisiana somewhere.
That's
in
cool.
June. Yeah. So I mean, so that's exciting. So that was the goal, to make that tournament, go out there. Louisiana, I think, is more shallow water, like, chatterbait,
Yeah.
just kind of top waters. I mean, I don't know, but
No, Louisiana red fishing's a good time. I have done that a few times.
yeah. So I think, so it's cool. But we've learned a lot, and I'm just trying to also, like I was telling Keith, depending what happens with fishing, we might have to start doing guide trips, and when the bass aren't biting, maybe we can do a little bit of the saltwater stuff and then mix in the alligator hunting, and I don't know, just trying different stuff,
Dude, let me hit him with this. Cox will watch you kill an alligator on the front of his boat.
That's right. And then we'll go eat Waffle House afterwards.
Dude, I'll be honest. That sounds like a good time. It sounds like a dream day.
It really is. I mean, the whole thing, just being in the boat with your buds and then like hunting this dinosaur. Like, it is like, the bonding time is incredible, especially when you're terrible at it. I mean, you are in the boat many hours with your buddies.
When does that season start?
So it'll open up in August, and it'll run till about November.
Okay.
So yeah. So
I'll see you August 1st then.
Yeah. You'll have to come down.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun.
I just want to come down for the hang and the Waffle House. I'll be honest, but I'll slap a gator around.
It's fun. It's definitely a team effort getting them. That's
I bet.
Everybody's got to play their part and try not to die in the process.
I like that. A little danger. Makes nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
John Cox, I appreciate you, buddy, as always.
Thanks, Luke. It's good talking to you.
I am going to hold you to the alligator Waffle House combo. We're going to do it.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to.
No doubt about it. John Cox, everybody. Well, all right. That's all she wrote with John Cox. We got that Cox Watch update. Love me some John. He is such a good dude, such a positive guy, and always a pleasure. And I think he breaks the record, man, for most guest appearances on LBL over this 8 years. And I'm always grateful that anytime I shoot him a text, he's ready to do business. And John is he's just a bright spot in the industry when we got so many things being crazy right now. So we needed a dose of John Cox today on Low Budget Live. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Going to take you out with some Biloxi Blues, and I will see y'all maybe Thursday. I don't know, for a little bit of Low Budget Light. We shall see. You got 3 podcasts last week. Holy cow. I feel like that's Luke Duncan overload. Nobody needs that much Luke Duncan. That is for sure. All right. We'll see y'all next time. If it'll work. It's working. See ya.
From Jackson Town to Tupelo, I never could make it last. Spanish moss and Civil War ghosts, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest.